the need for partnership really transcends, how we think about being able to do things on how can we all work together and chip in just a little to achieve a common goal. We bring our best insights and other people bring their best resources to ensure that whatever is necessary to achieve goal X can be achieved. And it really decentralizes the process of creating how we can all be empowered to be change makers and solution makers. So partnerships are really, really a good way of addressing a key challenge that society faces, especially at large. If you look at COVID-19, it's not just threatening livelihoods, it's threatening economies, it's threatening societies, it's threatening the vulnerable, it cuts across everything. So it's really important that if we collaborate, we can actually find different solutions that help mitigate the risk at different levels of society.
And welcome back to Creativity is in Business. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Monica Kang. I'm so excited to have my friend Mo in currently
Cape Town, South Africa.
Tell me a little bit more. Why do you even care about good partnership and collaboration?
We work with Startupbootcamp, and what we do with Startupbootcamp is we tend to partner startups with large corporates. And what we saw is that startups are really good at finding solutions, innovating, but also identifying the key customer problems that corporates will take a long time to find. So once you've got that key solution maker and problem identifier, and you partnered with a corporate who is really, really fantastic at executing on large deals, on large tasks, on large, projects, that marriage is really, really beneficial because it helps serve the populace efficiently and effectively. So we saw that at a far more reduced cost, for both corporates and startups, we can scale innovations at a faster pace and at a far more reduced cost.
That's such a great point, and thank you for sharing that background, because what I'm hearing is that, hey, everyone has a strength and weakness. That goes same for organizations. Why don't we figure out what the strength of a startup is and connect that to the weakness of where corporation is and connect the dots so that everyone is amplified. I know you're also passionate about, bringing out UN SDG goals. How can somebody reframe their mind to think more globally and long term?
Let's start with the UN SDGs, but these are adopted by all the member states of the United Nations, I think in 2015. And with those adoptions, there were 17 goals that were identified, it's ranging from no poverty to partnerships for the goals to, industry innovation, healthcare, water, life on land, agriculture. There's a lot of them. Each of them have their own key targets and indicators to measure the progress made in achieving those SDG goals. So it is really important that, we align our efforts with what the SDGs are trying to achieve, because they really put, the human flourishing at their core, and human flourishing in all aspects, from jobs to society, to inclusion and diversity, to environment, and industry. So the SDGs were a really, really key critical thing, they are a critical thing in terms of advanced society. And when we see the impact of COVID-19, we see how important it is for us to work towards achieving the SDGs. So how can we make, you think global and you act local. And so it's looking at the local initiatives and local, from my sense, from my perspective, working with startups is, what are the local innovations that are happening that have a global impact? And how can we partner with those local innovators and entrepreneurs who are creating amazing solutions that can, address one of the SDGs in one way or another, even if it's just one SDG target or one SDG indicator. It says a lot in terms of what we're trying to do and achieve globally, and it helps contribute to that global aim and global, thinking. And we just have to really dig into the details and not just look at look at the jargon, look at the buzzwords and the hype. What is the pudding? What is the ingredients that makes this pudding? So yeah. Here's an email, send us whatever you need to send us. The minimum requirement for any innovator is to send an email. And this is the national treasury, it's not, some random small fund that's sitting out there. So this is how governments are trying to reach to the private sector. But the private sector is also simultaneously stepping up, to ensure that they are supporting government in their efforts and making sure that small businesses and entrepreneurs still have what it takes to, continue their businesses. But now instead of running for tourism, they're running to make sure that essential services have supplies. You understand that, this time is the time for you to pivot your business model, pivot it hard, think about it creatively, think about it also responsibly, identify what the key problem is currently that, not only South Africa is facing, but the global world is facing. How can you pivot? And how can you establish partnerships that will help you, reach that customer that you need to reach?
What's one final tip of advice that you would share with them? And I'm like, okay, here's a small step you can do today.
If you identify the key problem that society is facing, or not a key problem like it's a huge thing, like identify the smallest little thing, like, okay, it's so frustrating that I can't get my groceries delivered. Jot that down and then create a solution, and then find somebody who aligns with you in your close community that you can work with to make sure you test out that hypothesis and you test out how well it can work. And it could be the smallest thing, like, internet is so slow. How can I make it better? Do I have to put an additional antenna through partnership? You decentralize the resources that you need to achieve a common goal. So it's finding commonalities where you find people who align with you and find people who actually help you get from point A to point B until you change the world.
I would also add that you've actually shared in your own words that happens even before the problem solving, again, was active listening. Make sure that the problems that you're identifying, is it a real problem? Is it something that you've actually listened to the world and see? Because, thank you so much. This was so informative and helpful. To wrap us up, I'm going to add a quote. So what is, give what you have to someone, it may be better than you dare to think. And this is from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And then the second is, the thing always happens that you really believe in. And the belief in a thing makes it happen. This is by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
So
love it.
I think another thing about partnership is that you really have to believe in it. Don't just simply think about the strategy, build on that trust and relationship.
No, thank you. I don't know. It's time for us to, as innovators, entrepreneurs, and people who are working in the innovation community, to literally step up. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Please send me that.
Yes. Ooh, if you are in a bookstore, what section are you most drawn to and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll probably go into like current affairs and news, or like philosophy books. Mostly it's thought-provoking. It's different hearing how different people think about topical issues and how they make sense of it and then interpret that into a literature form. So I think that'll be my key interest, yeah.
And I'll see you there. So have a great day.
Cheers.